Hello, class. Welcome to Introduction to American Politics 101. My name is Mary Beth Hordiai, and I'll be your instructor for the next 8 weeks. This is a summer course, and I just wanted to have a short video in the introduction to kind of explain how our class will be developed and how we will proceed through the 8 weeks. So, first and foremost, I'd like to say that if you are taking this course, this is a 16-week course worth of material smashed into 8 weeks. So, usually I get people who, whether you take the 16-week course or the 8-week course, for CSN students are often students who have part-time or full-time jobs, maybe have spouses and children, and have lots of other responsibilities, and maybe are taking other courses. And if you are one of those people and you decided that an 8-week course would be good for you, then here we go. Buckle up because there's a lot of material in this course. And I just want to say that up front because I often hear, oh, I had to work extra and all these other different reasons. And I'm well aware of that. But just so you know what you're signing up for, it's a very fast course. Okay, having said that, let's go ahead and get right into the nitty-gritty. So what I'd like to cover in this short video is the syllabus. Hopefully by now you've all read it. We'll go on to Canvas and talk about the home and the modules where you can see your week-by-week courses. We'll talk about the readings, the lectures, the discussion questions and their due dates, and the assignments. So I'd like to go right over to Canvas right now. I will be teaching 2 classes simultaneously, so if your course is not the same number here, don't worry about it. It'll look the same. So basically, once I publish this, you will be able to go to the home page, click on the home page, and you'll be able to see this. Section 1, which will be the first 3 weeks. Section 2, which will be the second 2 weeks. And Section 3 is the last 3 weeks. You'll also have your final and final exam down here. So on this side, this is where you can reach your syllabus, and I need to change that. But anyways, that was from last semester. It's basically the same. By now you've read the syllabus and you will hopefully have looked at the schedule that I sent to you. You can also access the information by the modules. So the home or the modules is where you'll click. Your discussion questions. So we'll just go to week 1 just as an example. It might look a little bit different by the time you see it, but you'll have, for week 1, we'll just have one lecture. It'll look a little bit different than this. You'll find the PowerPoint. I will list the readings. So for week 1, you'll be reading chapter 1 and chapter 2, and you will also have 2 discussion questions. You can click here for the discussion questions, or you can click right here for the discussion questions. Either place is fine. Your first 2 will bring you to the discussion question here, and you can reply. So each discussion question is worth 2 points. There are 10 of them, so it's 20% of your grade. And you'll get the whole 2 points if you answer the question completely. So please read the questions carefully. And might I suggest that you read the chapters first, if possible, then listen to the lectures. If you don't have time, definitely listen to the lectures and then go back to the book and reread or read for the first time the areas that I put emphasis on. And then look at your discussion question and it'll be easier to answer. Many times people just go to the discussion question, they haven't read the chapter and they haven't listened to the lecture, and I know because you don't refer to anything that we've discussed, and so therefore it's hard to give full credit for that. Let's see, going back to the Canvas, your quizzes or your exams will be either through the links there's several ways. Sometimes it'll come up your exams, it'll come up on this side here, or your exam, you can click here, or you can click over and click quizzes. They'll only be up the 2 days that is on the syllabus. But just so you know, for this course, I also gave you an extra day for the second exam because it falls on the weekend of 4th of July. I don't know how many people are still practicing social distancing and whether it'll be as busy as normal 4th of July's are, but you will have the actual Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for your exam instead of just Saturday and Sunday. So beware of that. And let's see, going back. And then you will write, let's see, assignments. That's next. So you will have 2 assignments. And these 2 assignments will be in the second part and the third part. The first one is a news assignment. If you click on here, you can find the information, you can read through it. This will be finding a news article from a reliable source and answering some certain questions. You'll have to read the article and then answer some questions. Let me just confirm these are not research projects. They're not opinion pieces. This certain first assignment is to practice finding reliable sources, being able to read it, and then being able to identify what sources the author used. And so that's what I'm looking for. We have lots of problems right now with fake news, and a lot of people have stopped reading well-researched journalistic articles. So I'd like to reintroduce you to sources that do their research and back it up with reliable sources. So we'll go into that more in detail later. But for now, that's one of the assignments. The second assignment will be on bureaucracies, and everyone will be able to pick a bureaucracy. There are over 400, so I'd like everyone to pick a different one. Same thing here. You will need to answer certain questions, and they're all things that we will learn in the chapter on bureaucracy as well as the lecture. Both of these assignments are worth 10% of your grade each, and they're to be done in whatever format you like. MLA or whatever format you've learned is fine with me, just as long as it's double spaced, 2 to 3 pages. The questions that I give you for these assignments is plenty to write on, so you don't need to make up any more. I'm not concerned with long, lengthy discussions. I really just want you to be able to get to the meat of what we've been learning. All right. So then the other thing is this place right here where announcements are. Actually, there's probably none right there because I haven't put any, but I will leave a weekly announcement, a weekly check-in. I'll try to keep it 5 to 10 minutes at the most, and we'll just go over whatever has been happening that week in our class, as well as possibly what's been happening in the news. Oftentimes things, well, we are living in a period where you have a live laboratory while you're learning this course, where everything we will learn, you will be able to recognize that is happening around us as we speak, including more than we've ever asked for. These are really unprecedented times. So please check into that, the announcements, and please listen to. It'll be probably, like I said, 5 to 10 minutes. I will just update. I'll also make any changes. I'll comment on your discussion questions, and it's really useful. Also, when I do post all of my videos, both my lectures and my announcements, I can see who has watched it and how much of it that they've watched. I get a little analytical breakdown. So please watch them because they're helpful to you. And I can usually tell when someone has answered a question and they haven't even watched the lecture. So I'm going to the trouble to help you decipher the book a little bit more. So please take advantage of that. All right. Okay, let's go back to, so let's see, we covered the syllabus you've already read. The modules will tell you your week by week courses. Let me just go back to the modules one more time, just so I can show you a, oops, sorry, that's the wrong one here. Let's see, we'll go back to home. Let's just I'll show you in the third section, we'll be talking about the Office of the Presidency and Congress. So it'll look like this. Your news assignment will be due that week, so I'll put a link there. Even though we discussed it in the previous section, you'll have your lecture right here. This is on Congress, and it tells you what it is. Here's the PowerPoint, here's the readings, and here's from the Battleborn. So the Battleborn is your Nevada section, and the text for that will be, on a link on the home page in the very first where it says start here. This video that I'm recording right now will go right here. And your Battleborn is right here. So it's a PDF. You can click on it. You can download it. So anyway, going back to, sorry for that. Going back to Congress section, this is the 6th week. Your assignment for the 6th week will be to read Congress, read the Battleborn, watch the lecture, and do the discussion question for representatives. Then you will have watch the presidency. Here's the reading material for the presidency and 3 pages from the Battleborn about Nevada executive, and then your question there. So that's a typical week. You will have approximately 2 to 3 chapters each week that you'll need to have read, and 2 to 3 lectures. So please plan for that. And I would suggest doing it early in the week. Don't wait till Saturday and then try to finish your discussion questions, especially the week of the exam. You want to allow a couple days for study time. Okay, so let's go back to here. The lectures I talked about, discussion question, due dates, and the assignments. All right, so why are we studying American politics? I like to break it down to 3 simple reasons. One is to understand humanity. We are certainly not a perfect society, but in the United States, we have strived for a more perfect union, not a perfect union, but a better one. And so politics is the decision making of who gets what, where, when, and how a society functions. So many people say, I'm not interested in politics. That basically says I'm not interested in getting along with anyone else, and I'm not interested in being a part of a community in my own town, in my own state, in my own country, or in the world. Because politics covers everything that has to do with our lives. Unless you are living out somewhere outside of the United States on a piece of land that nobody owns, and you're not talking to anyone, and you have no food, and you have no services, then you are a part of a society, unless you're out somewhere, maybe in Antarctica, where we don't have a specific country. So otherwise, you're living within a society. You use roads, you eat food that's either protected or not. You have some kind of healthcare system or work within a healthcare system. You use the internet to take this class, and the internet is either regulated or it isn't. There are so many things that you're in a country that's protected, that has military or police forces. So we want to study why, we want to understand humanity a little bit more. The second reason why we study this course is we want to avoid deception. We want to understand, evaluate, and produce our own opinions based on reliable information. Going back to your first assignment, that will help. You want to read something, decipher the information, make sure that it's reliable, and then make your own decisions instead of just waiting for someone to feed you a 20-second soundbite and go with that. You'd rather, or I would rather, that everybody has more access to reliable information and is able to make an informed decision. And the last reason why we study is we want to move from spectators to participants. So oftentimes we're watching things, maybe on social media, maybe you're watching things on the news, or you're hearing secondhand from someone. Maybe you have opinion, maybe you don't care. But we are being affected by everything that is being decided by our leaders, who we elect. And we can just stand by as a spectator and complain about it, or we can participate. And so that's the other reason mainly why we will be studying this course. And speaking of participation, this is a chart that shows the participation level per age group over the years. So as you can see, the even years, I'm sorry, every 4 years we have a presidential election. So you see a spike. People tend to turn out for the presidential year, which would be this year, 2020. And then 2 years later, we have a midterm election where no president is running, but all of our representatives are running, and some of our senators are. We see people turn out less for that. So this blue is the 18 to 29-year-olds. As you can see, we had a peak in 2008, and maybe a little bit, not quite as much as 2008. So a lot more people showed out. As you can tell, 60 plus are showing out closer to 70%, where we're hovering, younger generations hovering more around 40%. So the stats are that 18 to 24-year-olds show up to vote 1 out of 5 people. So if you have a bunch of friends, you have 5 of you sitting in the room, only 1 of you are going to vote, even though it affects everybody. 55 plus, 3 out of 4 people show up. So 75% of 55 plus shows up to vote. And let me just tell you, Congress only cares about the people who show up to vote. They don't care about what you say. If you're not going to show up to vote, they're not going to listen. So we have to get those numbers up of the younger generation. That's my cry for help there right away. Okay, so the how of it, I believe we covered most of this. Canvas, syllabus, the textbook. So I'd like to talk about the textbook. Some of you, some different versions. We're on the 4th edition, the electronic edition. I know that last semester, because of coronavirus, they offered it for a really discounted price. If you can access the electronic edition, they usually update the stories a little bit more. The stories may be different in the earlier editions, but the bulk of the everything on the Constitution, everything on civil rights and civil liberties, the bulk of the book is the same. But it's nicer to have the most recent, the 4th edition. So also, this book was chosen because it's really easy to understand. It's really easy to read. It's short paragraphs, short stories. Please read it. I had a student maybe 2 semesters back. She said, "Thank you for encouraging me to read the book." She said, "I read it cover to cover. I enjoyed every bit of it." And just by the way, she got 100% on every exam and on every assignment. Like I couldn't score her any higher. And I attest that to her reading the material, and she also listened to the lectures. So please take advantage of that book. Let's see, what else do we have here? Okay, grading and exams. So your exams are worth, let me do this backwards. Participation is worth 20%. Your assignments are also worth 20%, 10% each. There's 2 of them. And so that means that your exams are worth 60%. So please pay attention. That's the big bulk of your grade. Your exams will be, half of them will be multiple choice, and half of the questions will be essays. So you'll probably have about 50 multiple choice questions worth 1 point each, and probably anywhere from 5 to 7 short essay answers. I always tell you what's on the exam. There should be no reason why you can't complete that unless your essay answers show that you have not done any of the work, and then you will lose credit there. Your exam, you will be given 100 minutes for it. So that's a little over an hour and a half. When I give it in my class, people usually finish in 45 minutes. So I'm giving you more than double of the time. I have no way of knowing whether you're going to cheat or not, or look up the answers. If you do that, you won't finish the exam if you're looking up each answer. Also, I want to bring up plagiarism. I think I might have that later but I'm going to bring it up now. Any copying and pasting, please do not do. There is a very strong policy at CSN, at any university, that you can be kicked out of school, you can be given an F if you're caught copying and pasting anything. So please don't go to Wikipedia. Please don't look up things online to answer the questions. You have the material right there. You can see it in the book. You can write it in. I'd much rather, I know sometimes I have many students that English isn't their first language. I'd much rather you use imperfect English and it be in your own words so I can understand that you are at least learning the material than copying and pasting a perfectly, and I can see it when people copy and paste. I know what Wikipedia says. My questions, my discussion questions, are not things that you can copy and paste off of Wikipedia. You have to use your thinking for that. So please be careful of plagiarism. All right, grading. Please work ahead. No late submissions. And then general course policies. All right, let's go on to here. Okay, so your course is broken up into three, let me bring this up here, sorry. 3 sections. And the first section will talk about the history of the American government. We'll talk about the original ideals, the Constitution, federalism, civil liberties, and civil rights. This first section is really important. It gives you the baseline so you can understand as we move forward. Many of you may have learned a lot of things in your government classes, but this goes a little bit deeper. So please, it might be a breeze for you. Maybe you'll read through the chapters and you'll think, okay, I got all this. But please do not skip this first part. It sets up everything else. All right, then the second section is only 2 weeks long. So this one will take us 3 weeks. This one will take us 2 weeks. And this is all about us. This is the relationship of government to us, our public opinion. We talk about public opinion polls, how we participate or don't participate, the media, and that includes the internet and how it can either affect us by giving us information or maybe affect us by giving us wrong information. We'll talk about campaigns and elections, which is us choosing our leaders. We'll talk about political parties, which is us deciding what our ideology is. And we'll talk about interest groups. Then the third section is about how our government works. We'll talk about the 3 branches of government, bureaucracies, and policymaking, both domestic policymaking and foreign. All right, so the most common questions: how much work is in this course? A lot. 16 weeks crammed, crammed into 8 weeks. How should I study for the exam? Please read the text, watch the lectures, review for the exam notes. At the end of each lecture, I'll give you one slide that'll tell you what to look for. I have had students in the past who will go watch my lectures and, I don't know, fast forward to the last slide. They didn't do very well. And I know that because it says that they looked at my lecture for 1% or 3%, something like that. That's enough to get to find the last slide. So, because my exam notes doesn't tell you what the answers are at the end, it just tells you which one of those topics that you should pay attention to that I just talked about. So please listen to the lectures. All right. And also listen for things, look for things in bold, or whenever I say you should know this, I say that throughout all my lectures. Do I have to read the text? Yes. What about late assignments? No late assignments. Please plan ahead. Any other questions? Common mistakes: time management, falling behind, not reading the material, not making time to watch the lectures or any of the other videos. I give you lots of videos to watch to support your information. Not studying for the exams and not following the directions on the assignments. So oftentimes I'll get people that will look at the assignments due date and they'll go, oh, okay, she wants a news assignment. So they just pick an article, don't read through what I asked you to do, and start writing exactly what I say not to do. So please read through the instructions. If you follow the instructions, you'll be fine. Okay, last but not least, I have decided to add onto this course. I'm going to try it. I'm not sure it's going to work, but it is an online course, so we never have to meet all the same. However, I've noticed that it's kind of a shame, especially since I have taught face to face often, and there's great interaction in discussions, and we won't be able to have that because you're taking an online course, you're watching me lecture the whole time. I do get some of your feedback through your discussion questions, and that's great, but just in case something is missing, because of where we are now and because of all my other classes teaching on Zoom, I'm going to allow for 3 Zoom question and answer sessions. And I'm going to do them the day before each exam. So that's June 19th, July 2nd, and July 24th. These are not mandatory, but they could be really helpful. Could be a chance for all of us to meet and you to ask any questions. It may turn out that nobody wants them. And if that's the case, then I probably won't do them. I will send out an email ahead of time and ask who wants to join, and then I'll send you an invite to a Zoom meeting. I'm thinking of doing one of these two time frames, either 8 in the morning or 3 p.m. I am currently in Japan right now, so those are the best times that work for me, and that would work for you. That isn't in the middle of the night for you. So I will be asking you at that time, so think about that if you'd like to join. I think it might be a nice added tool for the class. Okay, then the last thing, let's see, what else do we have down here? Good luck. Please email with any questions. Oh, the last thing I'd like to say is that I try to work with my students as best as possible. If you're having some kind of struggle, if you don't understand, or you've gotten behind, please email me and please communicate with me. And do not wait until the night of the exam or the night that the assignment was due. Please email me ahead of time. If you communicate with me and give me enough advance notice, I can try to work with you. But I cannot work with you if you do not communicate with me or if you wait till the very last minute. And if you haven't done anything the whole semester and you wait till the last couple weeks, I can't help you with that. So please communicate with me any problems that you're having. And we'll start with, I'll be putting a link to one of the news sources that I highly recommend you start listening to. It's a podcast down below. And we will be, and please start with the first lecture today. And that will be in your first week. And good luck. Okay, thanks.